I choked on my cornflakes this morning when I read that Keir Bloomer, chairman of Reform Scotland's Commission on School Reform, was critical of the way Curriculum for Excellence was having the effect of cutting the number of subjects many youngsters take in S4, as this same Keir Bloomer was largely the architect of Curriculum for Excellence, CfE, and was often described as such in your pages a few years ago. Reform's chief's plea for end to postcode lottery in education, the Herald, December 27. Moreover, the problems that are now becoming apparent are not unintended consequences but were a design flaw that was obvious to many from the word go. I sat on the Curriculum for Excellence Development Committee and from that position argued fiercely but in vain that, if youngsters had to follow a broad education for the first 3 years of their secondary education, there simply was not enough time to take more than 5 or, at a push, 6 exam subjects in S4. Whilst I was making this argument from within, others like the Royal Society of Edinburgh and the Scottish Mathematical Council were making the same argument from outside. We were all ignored because the focus was not to be on learning subjects but on developing rounded people to satisfy the 4 capacities: responsible citizens, successful learners, confident individuals and effective contributors, concepts so ephemeral that you could move the adjectives and nouns around without seriously changing the meanings. As for criticizing the postcode lottery which determines the number of subjects youngsters do in S4, this too was a design feature. The idea was to hand teachers and schools the responsibility for what they taught, which in turn was meant to suit the needs and interests of their pupils. There was to be no national course. It is not surprising that large secondaries in middle-class areas quickly decided the needs and interests of their pupils were best met by teaching 8 subjects and that these courses would, as with standard grade, start in S3. Meanwhile others, often small schools with more limited staffing, opted for teaching fewer courses. The problems that are now being identified with Curriculum for Excellence are design features that were obvious from the start. It is good that they are finally being acknowledged. Judith Gillespie, Edinburgh EH9. Your article on the Scottish Labour Party criticisms regarding the performance of the SNP government in Holyrood in not talking openly and constructively about education is to be expected. Labour slams education levels in absence of debate at Holyrood, The Herald, December 26. The issues seem to me to be far wider than the SNP policy on closing the attainment gap. It seems to me that one of the main issues is the definition of the word attainment in the context of employability and the real market. For more on this story, visit the news article link.